No, I'm just joking. Today is my birthday though. But again, today's show is called the News Review. So we're going to be talking about a few issues pretty quick, and we're going to address a few things that has taken place in the news and give it some context so that a lot of people can understand it. And then from that point on, we'll move on to other subjects. Now, I know that there's a lot that's going on with Ukraine. I know that. And I know that there's a lot going on domestically with America. But what you don't realize is that the empire is hollowing itself out. All right. The empire is in total decline. And in her desperate moves to try to secure her position, which is tenuous at best, she is alienating friend and foe alike, which is helping with the downfall and the collapse of the American empire and the Western world. Shout out to Perseverance Chameleon. Shout out to Arlene Chambers. Thank you for the birthday wishes today, and happy New Year to each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Perseverance Chameleon. Happy birthday. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to tell you a few things about what is actually going on. You can stomach it or not stomach it. As a matter of fact, let me take this blur screen off for a second. Give me 1 second, because it's like a delay a little bit for me. And let me see if I can take the blurred screen off for 1 second, and maybe we can get down. Let's see. We take the blur off. None. Okay, we took the blur off. All right, there we are. So now I can talk to you without the delay, because it seems like it's a delay or whatever on my end. I'm going to tell you what is going on, and then you can accept it or reject it. And here it is. When someone tells you what is going on, what you do, you check their track record to see if what they have told you before and what they continue to tell you has been on the money or near the point. Long before anybody told you that there was going to be the outbreak of hostility and violence in Palestine, who was the one that told you? When no other major channel or minor channel told you, who was the person that told you? When someone told you that there would be the outbreak of hostility in Ukraine, when everybody would say, oh, this could never happen, who told you? I'm not patting my back. I'm saying I have a track record here. So when I tell you something at times, it may not make a lot of sense to you. But I'm telling you from reliable information and reliable sources. And over time, it may not happen in that week or that month or those few months, but over time vindicates what I have said. So what I'm going to tell you is this, that there will be a major escalation in the Middle East. You can believe that. It will be a war called the MENA War. I've been saying this for years. The Middle Eastern North African War. And why am I reiterating that? It's because when I was saying it, people couldn't see it because there was no major public deployments of British troops, German troops, Canadian troops, American troops, Russian troops, and other NATO nation troops in North Africa or in the Middle East. None visible. But now you see it everywhere in North Africa, and you see it everywhere in the Middle East. But I was telling you that was going to take place. What you're seeing is the prepositioning of players in the region, some who want to push America out, and some who are America's minions, and they want America and Great Britain to remain the strong powers in this region. But here's the kicker. When this MENA war takes place, mark my words, come back to me and talk to me when it jumps off in overdrive, okay? This war will mark the breaking of American and British power in that region. I know it seems far-fetched. Just listen to me and go back and look over my track record. When it takes place, this will break the power of the United States and break the UK's power and stranglehold over North Africa and the Middle East. It will be a regional conflagration, not just confined to occupied Palestine, not confined to a little area in Syria or a little area in Lebanon. No, no, no. This will be regional. And it will break America's power, and it will push America and Great Britain out. Listen to me good. Completely out of that region. I know that's far-fetched in your minds, because in your mind, America is that superpower. Britain is the tag along, and you cannot fathom the idea of America not having bases or not being influential in that region. Come back after it takes place and tell me whether I lied to you. There will be another war. I'm telling you this in advance, okay? There will be another war, and this war will take place in Asia, and it will be against China. And so I'm going to use a little street terminology for you to show you the seriousness of what is going to take place. When this war breaks out, China is going to beat the flip-flops off America. Okay, that's street terminology. China is going to beat the flip-flops off of America. And all of America's regional allies, like I'm talking about non-Western allies, they will start turning. The Asian nations that America has bases in, they will turn against America. I know it seems far-fetched. Come back to me when it happens, okay? And tell me whether or not I'm lying. I'm not putting a timetable for 10 years, okay? I'm talking about in the next, this period of what I'm talking about is in a year to 2 year time span for these things to take place, okay? This will be the breaking of American power in the Pacific. That's why America is so hell-bent on isolating China and rimming China in with those islands. This is why she wants to maintain control over Taiwan, because Taiwan, as they say, is her unsinkable aircraft carrier. And she believes with the first and the second island chains, she can hem China's breakout capacity and prevent China from rising as a full-fledged superpower militarily. This is what the basis is for. This is what the instigation of tensions are for. When America instigates tensions between the Philippines and China, when America instigates tensions between China and other nations like Japan and maybe smaller nations, because America is trying to sow dissension. She's trying to divide and conquer. The age-old tactic that European nations have used constantly to cement Western power and to maintain Western power and Western relevance. Listen to what I'm saying. Why do you think she is dead broke and so desperately trying to stop China? Let us use common sense for a minute, because we're going to go into a few things. Okay? I want you to think about this. Common sense tells me if that person is my number one financer, my number one banker and lender, my credit cards are due through that person, my home mortgage is due through that person, my personal loan that secures food for my family is due to that person, and all of the goods that we get to maintain our household is due to that person. Common sense tells you to not antagonize and make war with that person, right? That's common sense. But common sense is not so common in today's world, because we're living in bizarro world where up is down is up, in is out, and out is in. And because America knows that her time is limited as the ruling hegemon, she's throwing things up to try to see if they'll stick so that she can buy a little more time for the empire. They have run at least 20 war games. Google this for anybody who thinks I'm lying. Google this. At least 20 war games. And each war game against China, even when America has in her war games her allies in Europe coming to her aid, they not only lose to China quickly, but in a devastating manner. This is the U.S.'s own assessment of her war games. The only time, and I think it was one, now I think it's 2 times now. The only time that America didn't lose very bad and very quickly, well, she lost bad, but she just didn't lose quickly, is when she modified her war games where she was able to employ advanced weaponry that she doesn't have. Weapons that are talked about and not even on the drawing board through research and development. And this is the only way she was able to prevent an outright total catastrophe for American power. And guess what? Even when she added that advantage to her, she still lost devastatingly to China in her own war games. Okay? I'm not making any of this up. Google it. What does that old song say? Google me, baby. Google it. So you may ask, well, if America sees this, why is she antagonizing China? I try to put this in your head to make you understand. When you have been the ruling power, the ruling king, the ruling principle of power globally for so long, it's hard for you to fathom or even accept another power outside of you taking your place. So when you see this rising pole of power that is outside the scope of your dominion and your influence, what you do is test the waters to see what will stick with that person that you can beat them with or bribe them with to maintain your power. And when none of that is no longer relevant or acceptable, you become desperate as a ruling power, as other kings in history have done, other kingdoms have done, other rulers have done. They became desperate when they could no longer demand total obeisance from other people. And so what they do, they start implementing policy that is not only irrational, but unsound. Are not we watching that with America's positioning and pivoting towards Asia? Huh? So if we just take that alone and we look at the scope and size of America's economy, and we look at the scope and size of China's economy, we're not talking about these made up numbers. We're talking about the real economy, what could be measured, what the CIA and what the IMF accept as the real economies of nations. And it is called purchasing power parity. Okay? And China usurped and supplanted the United States in that position in 2015. And it's only rising. For those of you who may not know, if you have some time, sometime before the new year, I advise you all to go and look at a video. It's not even an hour. I believe it's like 54 minutes or something of a lecture I gave. It's on his YouTube channel, and it's called, and I'm paraphrasing. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull it up real quick while I'm talking to you. Hold on one second. Because it's very important that you look at that, because in this lecture that I gave, I pulled up the articles and the videos to prove to you what I'm saying. I'm not embellishing anything. I'm not adding anything to it or taking anything away from it. I'm just putting the facts out. And it is up to you to believe it. Okay? Let's go to something real quick. Let me go to my channel real quick. And let me scroll down. Hold on, videos. Okay, let's go to videos. Give me a second. Videos. I know it's a live, but I don't think it was aired as a live. So let me look through videos real quick while I'm talking to y'all. Give me a second. It's called We're Number One No More. I believe that's what it's called. America, we're number one no more. I was using a play on word. Here it is right here. The updated version is called Live Redo or Redo. Okay. And it says it's official. We, America, are number one no more. This is a 59-minute and 28-second lecture video. Okay. In there, we use clips from the U.S.'s own news services, okay? We use articles from pro-Western people like the National Interest and National Review and all that stuff, and we use statistics and the measuring sticks of the CIA and the IMF. Okay, Rashid is not a member of either one of those organizations. Okay, so when I'm using this stuff, I'm using what they are saying to prove a point to you all. So if I know that, and I'm not what they call a learned person, right? Do you not think that the leaders, the politicians, the military officials, and the big corporations understand that? Of course they do. Why do you think they attacked Huawei? Huh? Why do you think they attacked that? Before they attacked Huawei, they had attacked the other phone services by China? Why do you think Donald Trump attacked TikTok? Huh? It's because all of those tech companies were outstripping everything the United States and the West had to offer. Everything. When you look at TikTok, it beats Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter all together. So they had to villainize and demonize TikTok to discredit TikTok so that then they can use their so-called national security excuse so that they can leverage China to try to steal parts of TikTok from China because they were losing out. Why do you think they sanctioned Huawei and tried to break the bank of Huawei? Remember, Huawei went away after the United States tried to destroy their phone sector. But there's an article that just came out that says Huawei not only came back, it rebounded, and it has profits this year alone of over $100 billion. See, everything that they're trying, they're losing. So it's becoming more of a desperate situation for the empire because everything that they once dominated in, they no longer have dominion over. It is that yellow man of Asia which is outstripping them. And first of all, that is a no-no because it's non-white, non-Western. And it is not under UK or US dominion. And this is not allowable under the rules of the rules-based international order. That rules-based international order are the rules of the colonizers, and it is based on their wishes and their whims. And if they choose to, they can ignore it or force you to abide by it militarily. But now China has become a military, economic, and political juggernaut. So they can't just outright do what they once were able to do with China. And this is why the United States is trying her best and talking about repositioning 65% of her military forces to the Asia Pacific. Now, let us use common sense here, okay? We already talked about 93 to 95% of all goods on U.S. shelves. I don't care what store. 93 to 95% of all goods on U.S. store shelves come from China or a Chinese subsidiary. Okay? We already know that China is America's largest bond buyer outside of the Fed. We already know that China is America's largest investor, right? Okay? And China is America's largest trade partner, outstripping the trade that the United States does with the EU. So now, is China threatening military action against the United States? No. Is China trying to destabilize the United States? No. Is China trying to overtake the United States and just make the United States crumble and fall? No. So why has China become the preeminent national security threat? It is because of what I said. It is a non-white, non-Western nation that is no longer under the dominion of the former colonial powers of the UK and the US. And now they have a answer to the IMF. They have an answer to the World Bank. They have an answer to the London and the New York stock and gold exchanges. They have an answer to the crude benchmark that the U.S. uses. They have an answer to the pricing of oil in dollars. They can do commodity trades with the largest trader of commodities, Russia, with one of the largest producers of gold, South Africa. So the options are many for China, and they are outside of the Western domination. And this is a threat to U.S. and Western hegemony. Because look, America has lived above her means and beyond her means since the 60s. A lot of people say it's the 70s. No, since the 60s and before. And I've already given you that history lesson, but we'll catch up on it. And thank you all for joining me in the chat. I'm looking at some of the comments in the chat. MZ salute. Flying Crocodile 46 salute. I'll get back to some of your things in just a second, okay? So let's look at this. Excuse me. She robbed her currency of silver in the 60s. That was the downfall of America. She then completely robbed her currency of gold in the 70s, right? So she has been living on borrowed time as a hegemon and as a prosperous and rich nation. How was America able to live beyond her means? She struck deals with her dollar being used as the world reserve currency, the petrodollar. And she is willing and was willing to back that up with all means available to her, meaning her military, her political, and her so-called economic strengths, right? You know what I'm talking about. Let's look at it. From 60 to 65, she robbed the currency of silver. No silver in dimes, nickels, or quarters. From 65 to 69, she robbed her half dollars and her dollars of silver. So she then started spending so much above her means that nations started calling her out. And before she was able to go so far, what she did, she took the world off the gold and the silver standard because she knew that she did not have the gold that she continues to say she has in Fort Knox. Right? That was a default, everybody. When America robbed her currency of silver, what is that? When you rob your currency of the backing of it, because remember, everything from $2 down was backed by silver. And it was no longer called a silver certificate. It became a promissory note. So she robbed her currency of the backing of the silver. That is a default. She defaulted on her debt. And she followed that up with a super duper default by taking the world off the gold and silver standard and refusing to redeem her bonds in gold. And we've been living on that borrowed time. Remember the analogy that I gave you all about the snake and how you can cut off the head of the snake? The head is still venomous. So if you run across it or walk up on it and you get poked by the fangs, it can still inject deadly venom in you. The body separated from the head for hours still doesn't know that it has been separated from the head, so it still moves and contorts. So you can still be caught up. It is constricting. Only after so many hours, does rigor mortis set in. So these months we pertain to decades. And now we're living in the end time where rigor mortis is setting into a decayed and deteriorated economic and financial system that is dominated by Britain and the United States.
Told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a